Hey everyone, welcome to Boldly Becoming. I'm Angie Mercier, a retired superintendent of education turned executive leadership coach. After 31 years working within the system, I'm now dedicated to helping us speak and live our personal truth, all while leading ourselves and others. Alongside my inspiring guests, we'll share thoughts and stories of authenticity, courage, and transformation. Boldly Becoming is for you if you know that you are meant for more and you're looking for a little extra heart and soul to help you navigate the way. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Boldly Becoming with Angie. Today, I am talking with my very first guest on the show, Marsha Vanwynsberghe. I'm so excited to have her as a guest on my show, my very first guest. Marsha is an NLP trainer, speaker, author, podcaster, and publisher. She is the founder of Outspoken, a movement dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and aspiring thought leaders reprogram their subconscious beliefs, own their story, and confidently share their message with the world to create lasting and meaningful change. Through Outspoken Publishing and the Outspoken NLP Coaching Certification, she equips individuals with the tools to become powerful communicators, published authors, and leaders whose impact is felt globally. I'm so excited to share this conversation with you, where Marsha shares her story that led her to NLP. Let's dive into part one of this amazing conversation. Hi, Marsha. So good to have you here on Boldly Becoming with Angie. You are officially my very first guest. How cool is that?
It's awesome. I love being the first guest.
And you are the perfect person to be the first guest because you have recorded over 1,030 episodes, something like that. Like, that must feel like such an incredible accomplishment. So who else to be my mentor in podcasting but you?
I am honored. I'm honored. It's an accomplishment, a little bit crazy, but an accomplishment. And I'm grateful. There's nothing that has grown myself more than the podcast has.
Yeah, and I am truly one of your biggest fans on the podcast. But what's interesting about you and I, Marsha, is that we only met in March through our ICF coaching journey. And to me, that's crazy because I feel like I've known you much longer than just a couple months. Like, there's been this immediate connection. I
Mhm.
just feel like we speak the same language. You've come to one of my Bloom events
Mhm.
and we've met in person, and here we continue to connect through coaching. So I just think that's wild.
This is such a reminder for all of us, right? When it feels like there's no one in my life that is, I'm supporting me or cheering me on or connecting with me. I always say it's like you might literally be one connection away. It's just one room away, one person away, one connection away. And yeah, it's wild. I only started that journey in March and we've gone like deep down rabbit holes of coaching, and you've seen me in some like super vulnerable spots because I go all in. Like, I'm not there to pretend. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yes, and I remember, Marsha, when you started and you reached out to me to do a practice coaching session, and my heart did a little flip-flop because I was thinking to myself, like, Marsha, she's a big deal and she wants me to coach her. And I was like a little bit like, whatever, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I remember sharing that with you. And Marsha, that coaching experience with you and where I coached and that time when I coached you and you had a breakthrough, like, you have no idea how important that was and how honored I was to be part of that.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's also such a reminder, right? Like, I always say, if you want to be a really good coach, you have to be coachable. You have to be coachable. You cannot just be an expert without being on the reverse end of it, because everything is always teaching us something. And so when I go into those experiences as a client, we've had to do all these practice scenarios for our ICF training. And it's interesting because, somebody will say, okay, I'm just trying to think of something. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to tell you what's happening right now. I'm going to be open about what I'm walking through right this second, because what a great opportunity to be coached. I think it's a reminder for all of us, right? That it's important to put ourselves on the receiving end of being coached by someone else.
So true. So true. And everyone who's listening, you can see why I have Marsha on this episode. She is just an incredible wealth of knowledge and just a real person, and I love having conversations with her. So, in today's conversation, what we're really going to dive into is just really talking about those stories that we carry, some of them that have been with us for, it feels like forever, and just the identities that, in a way, we've been handed by other people to us and how they shape who we become. And then I want to dive into NLP, what NLP is, and how it works, and how it's going to help us. And just to share that I'm going to be starting on my own NLP journey, which is super exciting. I'm going to be doing that hand in hand with Marsha. But let's start with you, Marsha. And if you would, just to get us warmed up here, and for people who are meeting you for the very first time, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about your journey and the experiences that brought you to the work that you're currently doing.
Ooh, it's a big story. So I'm gonna I know. I will start with saying that I spent, 28 years as a registered kinesiologist. I was constantly helping people to like fix, manage, control, learn how to rehab their physical bodies. While at the same time, I never realized that I was also coaching them as a person. I didn't realize that you take a client who's learning how to walk again, a client who's learning how to move again, a client whose life was completely turned upside down. And so I did spend a lot of time coaching and being, I'm going to say, a bit of a problem solver. And that was the journey that I was on. While on that journey, became a parent about 15 years ago dealing with teen substance abuse. And it was a story that came out of left field. I did not, like, it was not on the radar. Nothing ever prepared me for what we walked through. And we did not walk through a mild story. We are still walking through a story, I will say that. And I spent probably the first couple of years as the problem solver trying to find solutions, like literally turning over every rock, like being so like, I will find a solution, except there was no solutions. And that is a bizarre feeling as a parent, as a person. Yet I do believe the lessons that I've learned on this journey are the lessons that every parent has to learn how to live. Like, your child's journey isn't yours. It is their journey to navigate. And during that journey, in probably a couple of years in, I was asked to speak at the school. It's interesting with your background in education. I actually had a very beautiful relationship with the school. I was honest with them. I told them what was happening. I didn't try and hide it. Like, I didn't go out publicly and share it. I was talking to them. And they had Brad and I come in and speak to parents on a regular basis because they're like, we're not trained how to do this and we don't know what to do.
Mm.
And as we started to do that, I remember having glimpses of moments of like, I think this is something. Like, I think we're supposed to do this. But I didn't really fully understand it. And then I started to share it on smaller stages and then bigger stages, and learning how to share the journey of, myself, and what do you do when your life plan doesn't go according to plan, which is always. And during that process, I started to write, I think 3 different collaborative chapters in a book. And then I had the brilliant idea to do my solo book. I was so excited. And I'm like, okay, I can do my solo book. And now I'm going to start a podcast because I want to start normalizing difficult stories. My family thought I had lost my mind. Like, I honestly, they thought I had lost my mind, so much so that I had to create space from everyone and follow my gut to do that. So I did write my book in 2017. It released and it got a lot of exposure, called When She Stopped Asking Why. And I didn't understand NLP then. We'll get into that after, but I didn't understand it. My nervous system was not ready for the exposure that I had, which sounds crazy because you write the book so people can find it, but they did find it and it had a lot of exposure, news and media, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is too much." But I didn't understand why. That took a number of years later. And then as we came into 2020 and the world stopped and my career was done overnight, I found my way into NLP, and I didn't understand what it was. Ironically, I signed up for it while I was in the hospital bed recovering from an emergency back surgery at the most illogical time ever. And that became the journey. I just started to go all in on me and learn about me and how I tick and how I work. I had no idea that it was gonna become the thing that I do. Like, had no idea, and I think that's the beautiful thing about being curious and open in your learning. It led me down the path that I'm on today, and it's just been kind of the foundation of everything that I'm doing.
Wow, and, that's just so powerful to hear you talk about it in a sort of condensed way. I just see you talking about, like, these valleys and then these incredible hills and another valley. It's almost like we're going up and down, but every valley turns into something beautiful on the other side. So powerful,
Mhm.
Marsha, and also so cool that kind of started with your kids and at the school level, kind of got
Mhm.
you speaking to people. That is a
It
very cool story.
It was a beautiful connection. I'm very grateful for that guidance counselor that I had at the time and the relationship I had with the principal because, in the rest of my world, I didn't talk about it with anyone. People didn't know what was happening. I
Right.
mean, everybody knew it was happening. Let me just be real for a second. It was so bad. Everybody knew it was happening, but I didn't face it or confront it or talk about it openly. But the school was where it all started. Was a really beautiful relationship. And I remember in one of my counseling sessions, a couple things happened where, I took my little checklist. You can appreciate this as the
Yeah.
type A. I took my checklist. I'm like, look at me. Look at what I did. I did it all. I did exactly what you said. And they're like, yep, good job. And I'm like, no, no, you're not listening though. We still have all this. Nothing's changed in my life. And they're like, that's because it's not your problem to solve. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I didn't understand that. So that was a point of learning about what could I control as well. And another time that really opened up, I can see it now, was this time where we were in a group counseling session and somebody dropped a water bottle. Like I jumped off my chair and the counselor was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it was really loud. And he said, nope, no one else did that. And I'm like, so what does that mean? And he's like, you are struggling with some PTSD. You have something in your system that you don't know how to release. Like that would be easily 2015. I had no idea about any of this stuff. So I think that in full transparency, how I got to where I am was pure grit and fire and pushing. And then in 2020, I had to backtrack and learn how to heal some of
Mm.
that. The grit took me a long ways, and I'm grateful for it, but you can't live on that fire, right? Like, you can't live on it,
Totally.
and I know you and I've talked about that before.
Yes. Oh, I resonate with that deeply. Yeah, really deeply. Thank you for sharing that. And I heard you say the word fire. So
I know.
yeah. I know that in listening to one of your podcasts, and I said I've already said I'm one of your biggest podcast fans. I love listening to your voice. I find so much inspiration in what you share. In one of them, you talked about your story being that fiery redhead and growing up with all the stories of being too much. And I heard you even talk about yourself as being considered the black sheep in the
Mhm.
family. And I would just love if you could just kind of tell us about that and like how did hearing some of those things, how did that shape how you saw yourself?
Mm. It's, again, one of those things where you don't realize it until you look back at it in reverse. I was always called the black sheep, the mailman's kid, because I was the only redhead in our family. I was the only redhead. And it's always interesting because people will say, like, "You don't look like anyone else." I'm like, "Yeah, it's the mailman joke. I'm sorry, family, but you're the ones who said it." And so it's like, I used to hear it all the time, so I could never really figure out where I fit in. Like, I always felt like I was a bit of an outsider and different. And, I'm sure a lot of that was joke. I grew up with a lot of sarcasm in my family, and you learn how to respond with sarcasm, etc. And so I used to always hear it as like the black sheep, the one who's different. And it was in my breakthrough day in 2022 that I made the decision. I'm like, it's not the black sheep, it's the gold sheep. We're allowed to do it differently.
Mm,
Like, and that just changed my whole energy of, I'm not angry at my family, don't get me wrong, but I know I'm different and I'm okay that I'm different. And maybe I am supposed to be different. The way I do things, I was born in 1970. I'm of a generation that you don't share anything with anyone. Like, you don't tell people if you're struggling. That's like a
yep.
big faux pas. That's weakness. You
Yep.
smile and you say everything is good. And I remember when I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna write my book. I'm so excited." And I tell my family, I was not ready for that backlash. I didn't even see that coming, but they were like, "How could you do this? Like, how could you do this?" It was like almost this personal, you can't share these things. And there was such a part of me that was like, but that's why we're in the position that we're in. That's why everyone is feeling so isolated and alone because we can't talk. We have to pretend that we're fine. We're not fine. And it was such an interesting moment that I don't know why I went, "Screw it, I'm doing it anyways," but I did. And so there was a certain fire and feist there, but that fire piece, like, knowing that and feeling that, I was always in this, like, fire-proving energy that I deserved to be where I was or that I had to prove myself. I just didn't ever know I was proving myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So much of that, like, again, I can connect to, and I'm thinking about, like, the messages that I received as a child.
Mhm.
What I'm just a people who know me know that I'm a highly sensitive person, and I can say that now with confidence, but before that was considered something that characterized me as weak. Angie, you're too sensitive. You're too emotional. It's not worth crying about, that kind of thing. And I would say that even, I love my mom, but she'll still say it to this day that I'm too sensitive. And how I've reframed it, like you've reframed from black to gold, for me, I've reframed that as that sensitivity is just, I would say, my sensitivity is my superpower. And I believe that it's because of my sensitivity that's why I was successful, especially in the final, 7 years of my life as a superintendent, because I was able to empathize and have deep compassion for parents who are struggling and for staff, like, just being able to really get in touch intuitively and from a really deep place of feeling as well
Mhm.
as knowing. And so, those reframes are critical to some of our old stories.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, and I feel like this is a bit of a big paintbrush statement to make, but I do believe that for most of us, the thing that we think we were too much of is actually our superpower. I do believe.
Yes.
For almost everybody, whatever you were told you were too much of, too quiet, too sensitive, too loud, too whatever, that is a superpower. Like, I do have a fiery side. I do love my fiery side. And I don't she's just learned how that she doesn't have to fight every single battle that happens. Like, I've fought some pretty big ones that it's like, wow, that was really not a very big feminine thing to do, but I did. And that's another whole podcast. But
Right.
it's like, but it is. And I love that. But I also had to learn that I don't have to fight everything. Like, it when you have that energy and you don't allow it to become a superpower, like, it wasn't refined. It was just like, it's just full guns blaring all the time. What happens is that you are burning everything around you because you won't stop the fire, and yet it doesn't change anything else around you. And so I can see how it shaped me in a beautiful way. I do think it's a superpower, and I think it's a strength, and I do believe there comes a point where our strengths become our weakness, and we
Mm.
have to learn a new way of being. And so for me, learning how to soften, even though I thought soften was weak, learning how to soften has actually become a strength. Like, the fire's there. She'll come out when she needs to, but she certainly doesn't run the show anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting. And, I think it connects back to what you said around proving oneself. I
Mhm,
think for me, what happened was that tried to prove, in terms of being a leader, that I wasn't too sensitive,
mhm,
because I did see sensitivity as a weakness. And
mhm,
so I worked to cover it up. And there were a couple instances where, and one was specifically in a job selection process where I was trying to give responses that weren't too sensitive. And so then what happened is that in my feedback, it was that I appeared that I was being almost cold. And so that is interesting, right? Because I did like sort of this pendulum swing before I became comfortable with understanding my sensitivity as a superpower. So in a way, I was trying to prove to myself and others that I was able to manage difficult situations without being in a puddle of tears. Do you know what I'm saying, Marsha?
Oh, I do. And proving energy. So somebody said this. This is a quote. I don't know who said it. And it's like whenever you are in a state of proving, you don't approve of yourself. And
Right.
and that one always lands for me. When I catch myself pushing or proving, I'm like, "Ooh, wait, interesting. Where am I not approving of myself? Like, what am I missing here?" And I literally will pull back in because proving was an energy I spent my whole life in. But when you strip that down, when you strip proving energy down in the most beautiful way possible, I just want to say underneath that is a subconscious mind, a childlike energy
Yeah.
that is just trying to be seen. And it's almost this feeling of like it's not enough. Like if you take all that proving energy and you and I being on completely opposite ends of the pendulum, but still the same message, if you
Mhm.
put all that in a pot, you boil it down, boil it down, boil it down, it still comes down to a core belief of not enough. It really does come down to like if you have a proving energy, underneath that is a core belief of not being enough of insert blank, whatever you think that is. And this is never about like shaming or criticizing. Like some of the most freeing things you can ever do is do this work within yourself because you'll start to see where those patterns are, right? Those patterns that you continuously are coming up against. So I still see it. Like there's times where I'm like going gangbusters. I'm like, Marsha, when was the last time you took some water? You took a break? You did it? Like, and I'm like, hours. Like it's because I
Yeah.
can do that. I can. But that's not what is required for what I'm building. And so you interrupt the pattern.
Yeah, and I think that this whole, like, being considered too much in something and then being in that proving energy and then feeling not enough, I think that's a similar pattern for more of us than
Yeah.
we actually believe. Because 'cause I've noticed that in my own coaching practice that, those messages, those personal messages of not enoughness, it comes up all the time for people. It's
Mm-hmm.
not unique, and I think we are so much alike that way.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, yeah, bringing awareness to the fact that you're not alone in those messages. We all have them. We all feel not enough in one way or another because of those stories.
We're all more human and more connected than we think we are. All of us.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Yes. And then what happens, right, when you're in that proving energy, you just kind of you start to dim some of that light, right? Like you dim that light that is so natural for you to share. And sometimes I don't think we realize that we're even doing it.
Yeah, I think we dim it for so many reasons. And you're right. We don't realize that we're doing it. We think I mean, our subconscious mind, I know we're jumping ahead, but we only want safety, is all we want, is like what is safe, predictable, and familiar. So if you deem that it's not safe to shine your light, then you won't. You can push and prove all you want, but it'll be like, nope, nope, that's not safe. You have to believe
Right.
that it's safe to do so. The same thing if you're always in an energy of like, look at me, look at me, look at me, that I don't call that as a like shining your light. That's a like, look at me light. And I
Yes, right.
don't like the look at me light.
No, yeah.
I always say it's like a learn from me. Like I want to share as
Mhm.
in this is what's possible, not a look at me lens. Does that make sense?
Totally. Like that is exactly how I feel. In fact, I know it might feel strange that, I have a podcast. But it's never been about a look at me kind of idea. It's really that maybe I have the ability to share my voice, share my truth, and make an impact in this world as opposed to like it's more the ripple effect of
Hmm.
what I share in a podcast or at Bloom or in a speaking event or anything like that. It has nothing to do with really the ego, like me here in the center in the spotlight. Even though I do like to dress nice and, do my hair and makeup, but that is really not part of it. I'm sure you can resonate with that.
I do resonate. I do resonate. It's funny because I like literally, you guys are gonna laugh. I just started curling my hair like a month ago, and my hairdresser did it, and people were like, "Oh my god, that looks amazing." You should keep doing that." And I'm like, "Well, what does that mean? It looks like straight then." Like, it's so interesting. My brain was like, "Is it okay if it's straight? Is it okay?" Like, it's so we still get in our head, right? We get in our head. But it's one way for me to also practice not being in the masculine energy all the time too, which sounds really interesting. But I am learning from both sides, right? It's the only thing everything that we're trying to build requires both energies.
Yeah,
It
tell
it
me about yeah, tell can you differentiate between the 2?
Yeah, masculine to me is the doing. It's the fighter.
Right.
It's the strategies and systems, and it's the steps, and it's the pushing through, and I spent my life there because that's how I was with proving. It felt very normal. Now, at the same time, I remember my mom, I don't know how many times, love you mom if you hear this, but it was just like, can you just play with Barbies? I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to. And it would be so interesting because it'd be like, "Play with this, like, Barbie van," and I would take the whole thing apart. "Here's a baby alive, play with that." I would take it apart to see how she ate. Like, they were like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't think anything is wrong with me," but it was just that's what I would hear. And so I was always in this energy of a masculine energy. Now, in all fairness, I had a sister, but we grew up with boys everywhere. All of my parents' friends had boys. My dad coached junior B. Our house was full of male billets. Like, I was surrounded by this like male energy at all times. And so that's who I was. And it wasn't I would even look at the feminine and be like, that's soft. Like, that's how I would feel. It was because it felt like you had to be this or that. It has honestly only been in like the last couple of years that I've understood both. Like, it's really been the space of understanding both. And I really do know now how, like, you need the feminine energy to be able to understand your nervous system, to be able to hold more, to feel like regulated to hold more, to be able to support more people, to lean into empathy more. Like, that's all the beautiful feminine energy, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But if you only sit in the feminine energy, you can't build a business either because you're always sitting and hoping and manifesting. And it just does, you can't take that without action. So it's a dance of both, right? It's a dance of both. And I even shared just recently on an episode how, you can't outperform what you believe about yourself. You can't outdo who you're being. So, even taking my husband as an example, he is like a master's Olympic level world athlete. Not a small thing. It is not a small thing. He trains probably 3 to 4 hours a day. He has no problem in the doing of it.
Right.
And the other piece of it is like you can't out train if you don't believe it's possible. Like, the what your beliefs are will have a far bigger effect than how hard you train. And so we work on both. It all has a part of the equation. Like, it's both parts, masculine and feminine. You can't spend all your time in one. I see them as an ebb and flow. And so recently, I shared something about my business growth, and I'm very open and real and honest about that. That's not again, not a look at me. It's not. It's just sharing it. And somebody commented about it being luck, and I'm like, oh like, I could feel this fire come in of like, how dare you say that? Like, it's not luck. But I was like, no, we don't ever know someone's story. We don't know what they're saying. And I commented and said, anyone who knows me would say it's actually been more unlucky than luck. And when you tell yourself it's luck, you're actually blocking it from yourself because you're like, I don't have something she has.
Right.
It's not luck. And so then I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to record a podcast episode on this because this is how I learn.
Right.
So luck is like where your preparation meets opportunity. And so preparation being the doing, the masculine, the strategies, all these pieces, you create opportunities by allowing yourself to be seen. It's still, no matter where you look, I think it's all a blend of masculine and feminine. I think we need both at all times, honestly, as this beautiful blend that is a mix, and that's been probably some of my biggest learning over the last couple of years.
Wow. I love all of that, Marsha. And I think about our systems, like our organizations, our big systems, like the education system that, I grew up in and did my entire career in, it is really founded on masculine energy.
Mhm.
And so much of what is valued and the action that's taken is grounded in masculine energy. And female energy is so required. It's so required because it's a the education system, healthcare, whatever we're talking about, nonprofit, these are organizations for people, right? The people are the clients, and they are the reason why those organizations exist. And sometimes that feminine energy can be seen as weakness and can be seen as a bit of a distraction or an obstacle to getting to the strategy and the doing, right? But
Mhm.
you are so right when you call it an and. It's both and it can't move ahead in an efficient and a successful manner without both. So powerful.
I love to watch animal videos sometimes but if you've ever seen, there's this reel where it talks about we think feminine energy is soft, but a feminine fire is like the animals that are protecting their young. Like feminine fire is actually really powerful. And yes, you opened up in the sense that I think a lot of our systems are built on a masculine structure that's not working right now. And I think there's a lot of major changes that are coming. And I would love to see more women in places of power and I don't even like the word power, but in whatever you want to call it, because I think we bring something different to the table.
Totally. And let's do another podcast down the road on
Yeah.
gender
Yep.
and
Yep.
masculine, feminine energy, because I
Yep.
could totally go down the rabbit hole right now, but
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If something from this episode sparked a shift in you, I would love to hear about it. Please share your biggest takeaway or aha moment on social media and tag me so I can celebrate your growth along with you. And if this show is adding value to the person you are becoming, it would mean the world to me if you took a moment to leave a 5-star review. Your support helps us reach more leaders who are ready to speak their truth, and I am deeply grateful for every single one of you in this community. Remember, this life isn't about reaching a destination. It's about loving the process of who you are becoming every step of the way. I'll see you next time.